I'm doing this message because a lot of young people, amazing, are great, so special, but they don't realize that they're being brainwashed. For example, there's no such thing, anybody that thinks that you can be born in a gender neutral way obviously has not studied science, because all of science tells us that it's the DNA, and we all believe in DNA. In fact, DNA makes us. DNA decides whether you're going to be male or female. Yes, there's such a thing as biology. And in fact, not only am I a male, but look around. There is absolutely an entire world, male and female, even in the plant world, because only males and females together have babies. And once you have a baby, then you can have the next generation. So it's it's obviously a brainwash and a lie. It's very important to understand you're being lied to. Because if you're being lied to by your educators, a guy told me he was studying to be a teacher in Canada. It's unbelievable. He said 90% of what they taught the teachers was to tell the children it's not real if you're a male or female. And so there's this one girl in a school who decided she's a cat and she needed cat litter. It's like you can't even make this up. Never in human history has there been greater stupidity by any group of people. It's just, there's not a single group in all of human history that couldn't tell the difference between male and female. The reason I'm saying this is because if they lied to you in this, what else have they lied to you? They're lying to you that America is bad. Everybody has good and bad in them. And if I go over to you and I say you stink, why is that insulting? Because I'm not only saying that right now you smell and you should take a shower. I'm saying you stink. Everything about you is bad. You stink. But if I go over to you and I say, wow, you're an amazing person, that's true too. It could be that you stink and you're amazing. So whenever somebody's focused on the negative, we're finding this negativity against Jews. It's pure anti-Semitism. That's what the Nazis did. It led them to murder 1 million children. 2 million gypsies, gays, people that were mental. It was the worst element in a human being, which is basically jealousy. And that's why God tells us in the Ten Commandments, don't be jealous, because there's no limit. Just like you would do anything when you love someone, you'd even give your life for them. Well, when you hate someone, you'd also do the same thing. You'd give up your life just to kill them. And that's what happens. The Nazis, we see this with Arab terrorists, their hatred. Golda Meir said, there'll be peace in Israel when the Arabs love their children more than they hate the Jews. This guy converted to Judaism. He came from Gaza. He said, when they're born in Gaza, they put down knives next to the baby and they say, this is so he'll grow up and kill Jews. This is a place which has such hatred that they're irredeemable. And it's very important to understand, so they can't really win a war against us because we're too strong. So what do? They convince us to lay down our arms. They convince us to let them run the governments. You know why? Because then they can kill us. It's very simple. Why go to war with somebody that you can't just become their leader through democracy? So I'm here to debunk 3 lies, and if you just learned these 3 things, you'll already be well on your way to just a better life. The first lie is that there isn't a God. The reason that lie is perpetuated is because every single human being has instincts. We have desires, and desires are not godly. I like, whether it's sexual desires or even food desires that are not going to be healthy for me. And unless I'm able to overcome those desires, I'm basically going to be destructive to myself and to others. So that's what the Bible tells us. That's what God tells us. He says, listen, I made these things, and there's a beautiful way to use them in a good way. And the body and the instincts don't want to hear that. It's a rebellion against decency. And this happens in all societies, that society's religious code brings them together. And then there are the sexual desires and perversion, and those desires become intellectualized. Suddenly it's normal to be gay, and suddenly it throws out all of the values of the Bible, and the whole society collapses. And that's what we're seeing right in front of our eyes. So the first thing is that no, nothing in this world can exist without God, because everything's coming into existence every single second. And that's a fact that Kabbalah spoke about and quantum physics proves. So if the whole universe is literally coming into existence every second in a perfect way, obviously someone's making it happen. And that's the person we call God. And so it's not even a question if there's a God, it's just a question if you know there's a God. But he knows you, because if he didn't know you, you wouldn't be here. The second very important thing to understand is that if you're a male and if you're a female, the primary responsibility that you have is to get married and have children. And if you don't, there won't be a world, and there will be nobody to tell all these crazy theories to. And again, there's this guy who was in fact, he was gay. He was a professor from Harvard. He was kicked out because he was too liberal. And he said all these things are nihilism. Nihilism is a self-hatred. These groups that are telling you to just kind of self-destruct and not perpetuate yourself, it's because they hate themselves. And hatred of self is a real thing. Hitler ultimately didn't want anything positive for anyone, including the Germans. I know a guy that he was in the intelligence, and Hitler gave orders to destroy, listen to this, to destroy the food factories of Germany before he killed himself. In other words, he hated the Germans. He hated the Jews more, but he hated the Germans. He hated everybody. And he had to destroy them because he was jealous of their light. That's why people hate Jews, people hate Americans, or sometimes wealthy people. They're jealous of their light. That's what it is. But once they hurt them, then they'll just hurt themselves, because ultimately they're driven by hate. And last but not least, you have to understand that the world isn't a bad place. It's a wonderful place. Look at this beautiful scene in front of us that God created. All you have to do is study the Bible, follow its instructions, hopefully get married if God gives you that, hopefully have children if God gives you that, and hopefully make a lot of money and give it to charity and help other people. That's the beauty of the world. The beauty of the world is loving kindness. And if you just focus on the beauty of the world and not the ugliness, as I put out a YouTube video earlier today, you go to the most beautiful painting in the world and a little bird comes and poops on it. So you can focus on the poop, or you can focus on the beauty. And that's our challenge. And whenever there are any groups or individuals that they're busy telling you what's wrong with this world, run 1,000 miles, because they want you to be miserable like they are. But if you can find somebody that's telling you what's right with this world, keep on listening. Keep on following, because they're the ones that want you to be happy. They want you to shine your light to the whole universe. Good luck.